John.
Skyler, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a new start to a week. It's 100 degrees here, so sun's shining bright, which means I'm ready to play sports all week and have a good time.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about yourself and how you got yourself into this spike ball world and what it's about? We'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I was 22, 23, or 21, I guess, going to college, I started a tennis team at the college and, just was getting into the college life there. And throughout meeting and going to different colleges to play other schools, we would talk about, drinking games and fun stuff to do. And somebody was like, hey, have you ever heard of spike ball? Had no idea what it was. They tried to explain it to me, with some tennis rackets and balls, and had no idea what they were doing or what they were talking about. And I ended up looking up and Googling it on the drive home. I saw a video of it and I immediately went to the website and bought it. That turned out to be one of the best decisions I've made in my life. And I just started playing with my friends. And, I remember my roommates were like, what is this weird thing that you're trying to get us to go play in the street? And this is just dumb and all that kind of stuff. And just kind of kept plugging away. And I found out that there was going to be a tournament in Southern California. So I just decided to go. I'd never played on the sand before. We'd only played on grass. So that was a whole new thing. And my partner and I ended up winning the tournament. And the CEO of SPIKEBALL happened to be there. So got to meet him. And he was like, wow, these guys are really good. And, shot the shit with him and his friends at the bar afterwards and just kind of started a relationship there. So that's how I got introduced to SPIKEBALL. And I mean, once you play it, if you like sports, like you can't not love it. So I had that feeling immensely and just started playing more and more in my hometown and running tournaments. I started running a junior tournament, a junior league, ran some co-ed tournaments and got on the front page of the paper and on the news a couple times. And once it started kicking off, people were like, oh, like, did you invent this? Like so many people still in my hometown think that I invented spike ball just because I was the kind of first one in this town. So I still have to fight that off. But really like how it started about playing was just, all right, we're going to go to more tournaments. We're going to keep playing and got into that world as it started to get more competitive. And then I got the opportunity to, with my spike ball partner at the time and our two biggest rivals, we pitched a little project to the CEO. There's no employees at SPIKEBALL or anything like that. It's still trying to blow up. We're like, hey, people play at the beach. There's a lot of people at the beach. We can showcase this awesome sport in a better way than you do in your videos because we're the best at it. So we said, hey, we're going to go down to the piers and all the really popular beach spots, and we're just going to play and promote it and make videos for you. So we pitched this idea, and this was like a summer internship for 4 of us. And I mean, can't really describe like a dream job more of, going to the beach all day playing and just, having fun. And we would bring extra sets and little kids would come by and, what is this? They would jump on it, think it's a trampoline, and then we'd teach them how to play. And, it was just lovely. And 2 of us after that summer got full-time jobs. And that's kind of, where it started in 2014. And 8 years later now, my title at SPIKEBALL is the director of play. And I try and get more people involved in spikeball, just a bunch of people to learn about it for the first time and start to enjoy it. And then on the competitive side, I competed for, I guess, 5 or 6 years and won a couple national championships and was voted #1 player in the world for a couple of years. And now I'm just trying to hang with the young kids. And I'm actually the assistant coach for the USA team for our first World Championships, which is in September. So I'm very excited to be on that end of the sport now. And that's kind of how I got here and where I'm at now. And
I was watching also some of the top 10, I think it was the top 10 spike ball plays of 2019. And I haven't finished yet, but there's no way you can't finish. And once you start it, you're going to finish it, guys. And it's only like 3 minutes and 40 seconds, but you're glued in. Like you have to, it's really cool. It is a really cool sport. And it's a sport that you have to be, let's say you don't have to be athletic, right, to play any sport, but like you're going to want to, there's a lot of stuff involved. Like this is not, you're not just going to be sitting there and doing a lot of stuff. So as you can see, if you guys are watching this, but before, I don't want to forget this. You said the World Championships. How many countries are playing spikeball?
Yeah. So this is kind of a newer thing. Right before the pandemic, we were slated to have our first World Championships. And this is all like stemming from Spikeball, the company's vision of trying to create this next great sport, and the best sports get into the Olympics. So that's kind of the path we're trying to go to. So that first World Championship didn't happen, and I bet if we had done it in 2019, there would have been maybe 10 countries involved. But with the pandemic and the sport growing, and with Spikeball being such a small 2-on-2 sport you can play anywhere, it was really good during the pandemic. You didn't need a lot of people or a lot of space. So yeah, in September it'll be in Belgium, and we have 32 countries signed up for our first World Championship. And so all those countries have national federations, and they're all part of the International Federation, which we help start. And once you get a few years of international competition, and I think 45 countries, you can then be a part of the Games and International Sports Federation, which allows you to get into the World Games, which is like the opposite of the Olympics year-wise, and it's kind of the warm-up to it. And then once you have, I think, international competition for 5 years and 70 plus countries with federations and active players, then you can be considered for the IOC. And then yeah, so we're slowly on that ramp. And I think it's just, if 10 years ago when I started playing, if you would have thought that, we always like, oh, when's Spikeball going to be in the Olympics? And yeah, that's funny. But now we can actually see a path, and it's pretty wild. And to be a coach of the U.S. team, going to go for a first World Championships, like that's, once again, just kid Skyler that never thought I was going to be a professional athlete in any sense. Being able to like compete on a world stage and just with the best players in the world is just I'm like a kid in a candy store.
I had run into, which a lot of people I'm sure have, clips and like top plays on Instagram and things like that before even knowing what it is. I didn't know what I was looking at when I was seeing it. But by watching it, you immediately kind of figure out rules. I don't know if I know all the rules, right? It's still kind of new to me. The rules I don't know. However, but the gist of it, it's very easy to follow once you understand. I see. Okay. I could even give you a small rundown. We don't have to break down all the rules right now, obviously, and anything like that. But what it seems like is that you've got two guys. You've got this, what looks like you said, almost like a trampoline in the middle of them. There's a little small ball. There's, do they have to pass it between each other? So you get three more or less in between each other. And on that third one, it's got to hit the trampoline. It probably has a real name.
It's called a round net.
Round net. All right, there you go. So it's got to hit the round net.
That's actually the name of the sport. So it's the International Round Net Federation. Spikeball is the company. You can akin Spikeball to like Spalding and basketball, or I mean, so a lot of people call it Spikeball, and that's good for our brand. But legally, and the right term is round net for the sport. So we'll compete at the World Round Net Championships.
I see. No, everybody's going to call it Spikeball. Spikeball sounds too cool. They're just going to say that.
Yeah, no. Trust me, we've been going through that for many years now.
Yeah. So, I mean, part of the questions that I was going to go, I saw in some of the top 10 plays, did I see Texas A&M versus like somebody, like, is this already in colleges? Like the fans, their fans going nuts, going wild at games. It's packed.
Yeah, so it's not an NCAA varsity sport yet. We got a long way to go there, but there's a lot of club sports in college, in the U.S. that play a very competitive level, and there's good organization around it. So yeah, people started starting clubs at their college. I started one, back in the day before there was college competition, so I didn't really get a taste of any of that. I did it for tennis. But they were just, okay, I know all these Spikeball people at my school and I want to play, and let's get together. And then finally one club started playing another club that was close to them, I think in Ohio or something. And that just kind of sparked it. So I think we just had our fourth college national championship. There's 300 schools that have teams and clubs, and some of those clubs have turned them into a club sport, which is like the next level of recognition, and you can actually get some funding for your school to go travel. So it's happening. We've had a couple on ESPN2, and it's been a blast, and I think it's really cool for those college students to play. And it's a different format than when I just play, it's 2-on-2, you're an individual team, but college is like a squad, so you have 3 teams or 5 teams, and you got to win 3 of 5 or 2 of 3 of those matches. So everybody's kind of cheering on your own team, which is a bit different than it's kind of an individualized or, a double sport. normally. And so that's how the World Championships is going to be as well. And so I've never actually really played that format before. So it's going to be pretty interesting and pretty cool to just, once one match finishes, everybody's going to go start to watch the other match, because they're all playing at the same time. And
so out of these, who's the most famous round net player? Is there a guy that, like, we can point to? Is like the Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo guy?
There's two teams. So my partner and I, we won like for 3 years, pretty much. I think we lost a couple tournaments in 3 years. And then in 2016, we ended up getting second in the finals, and we stopped playing together. And then a team in 2017, who was actually one of our first losses. Like, we were undefeated for like 2 years, and they beat us and actually won like a bunch of money just for beating us, because the CEO put a bounty on our heads, basically, like, hey, anybody beat these guys, they're going to get a bunch of money. And so then this team basically won, and we're kind of almost undefeated for 3 years as well. So it was kind of like two dynasties back to back. So I would say us four players are probably the top kind of legends. We have, an incredible amount of trophies and stuff. And then the other guy who has probably more trophies than me, he's the head coach of the U.S. team. So I was like, who's going to get this job over me? I was like kind of mad that I was the assistant coach. And then I was like, oh, wait, he's the only one that has the accolades. I can't argue at all. So,
yeah.
So I would say those four players, and since 2019, when that kind of dynasty stopped, they stopped after winning 3 championships in a row. It's been people play with different partners and mash up, and
battles.
There's no dynasty right now. So it was cool to be a part of that.
And I've seen something pretty cool, which is, I was going to ask, where has Spikeball where's it kind of popped up in pop culture and stuff like that? And so there's a video of the Mavs, which I'm sure you've seen, on Luka Doncic, JJ Barea, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Maxi Kleber, and doing a little warm up with the Spikeball. So how did that? What's going on here? How did that happen?
Yeah, so throughout just the Spikeball kind of world over the last 5-6 years, we would see random athletes or kind of random celebrities just using it, for fun or little cross training, warm up things, and we'd seen that enough that I was like, okay, let's try and push into that a little bit. So one of my tasks for my job was to try and get Spikeball to be a bigger cross training tool for other sports and other coaches. So I reached out to coaches of, D1 schools, D2, 3, and all the professional teams, and reached out and sent some sets to them. And, hey, this is a great cross-training tool, no strings attached, use it or lose it. We're not expecting, anything from it. And then all of a sudden, the Mavs would post, or the Phoenix Suns would post them playing, and we're not paying for that, which is crazy. And I would then talk to these marketing teams at these sports teams, and they're like, hey, we'd love to do a partnership. Will you pay us, for, this many thousands of dollars to have us post about it? I was like, no, we just don't have the budget. That's not how we work at Spikeball, but here, have sets, have some fun. And then 3 days later, they just posted them playing on it. And
anyway,
you just, so
it's fun.
I'm obviously not going to bite next time you throw that line out. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, during the NBA bubble, during the pandemic, I think we had 5 or 6 NBA teams post. During the finals, the commentators, for 45 seconds, were talking about how everybody was playing Spikeball in the hotel pools. During the game, you just can't kind of pay for that stuff. Ryan Seacrest, said, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on, but there's a lot of Spikeball going on in Rio. And so things like that, just, sending sets to the right people and letting Spikeball be the fun tool, the fun activity that it is, lends itself to good social moments. So, that's been pretty fun. I mean, Chelsea, the football team, and we've set their goalkeepers play, I think, at least twice a week. They've probably posted on their social media account maybe 5 or 6 times of their goalies playing. They created their own little 3-on-3 version. And so, yeah, that's been super fun. I helped sponsor the Hockey World Championships. So in actually hockey, the hockey preferred warm up is just kick ups. They just juggle in a circle with soccer ball. And
really,
for me, I was like, that's cool, but don't you use your hands in hockey? And like, shouldn't you be able to? So I thought spike ball was the perfect warm up. So I kind of went into that, and quick changes of direction on ice if you're using skates. Like that's what I would say. That's
Wait a second. They play on skates. So they'll play it on skates. No way. Is there footage of this?
Oh yeah. I'll send you some stuff. It's pretty wild. Cool. So it was kind of my job to just send a bunch of sets, and I think the peak of that, and probably the peak of my job, was sent sets to the Atlanta Hawks strength and conditioning coach, and he hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, we're using this, we're loving it, but the guys aren't very good, so they're not getting enough out of it. Like their rallies weren't going long enough, so they're just kind of standing there, and they're not getting enough, side to side movement, and heart rates weren't going up." So the guy said, "Hey, can you come and teach them?" So I flew out to Atlanta, went to the Hawks facility, and I got to just basically teach them how to play, give them some tips. And I had 8 of them for half an hour, and then other people were shooting, and then we switched it up. And I think every 10 minutes I would bring them all together and huddle, and I was coaching them and having them hey, know that if you step left this, and get your legs low, it's just like playing defense, basketball, and it's really good workout here. And it was just surreal that I was coaching these NBA players, and I was playing with Trae Young, and I got a nice fake on him, so I kind of just that was huge. And then I swear they started playing really well the next month. That's when the Hawks started being a really good team. So I'll attribute that.
You take all credit.
But it was just so cool to just go play with professional athletes, and that was my job for the day. So
that's really interesting. I was going to ask also how long it takes someone to actually get good at it, because when you're watching, like I said, I'm watching top 10. I'm watching people that have played for at least a decent amount of time. Some of those top 10 clips are definitely just people out in the park, or just kids at school, they just have it there, and they look legit with what they're doing. But how long is it going to take somebody who's already fairly athletic to do that? Or if I brought it to the goalies at my team and said, "Hey guys, there's this thing," with their hand coordination being better than everybody's, would they be able to just pick it up like that?
Yeah, there's definitely the hand-eye, and I think it's the anticipation part that what sets people apart. And if you have somebody just teach you that, a lot of times people try and spike it from up here, kind of like a volleyball, but the higher you hit it from, the farther away you are from the net, so it's easier to miss. And then the ball's going to bounce up high to give the other team more time to go. So if you actually start hitting it a little lower and, closer to the net, the ball goes more horizontal. So once you learn a couple of those things and get a couple muscle memories, if you're an athlete, you're going to go pretty far, pretty quick.
What I was going to ask is there you can't hit anybody. There's no physical contact, is there? You can't get it.
No.
So there's none. Okay.
Yeah. So if I'm going to go for a ball, it's my team's possession. If you get in my way, as long as you if you make an effort to get out of my way, duck away and do everything you can, but you still get in my way, then it's called a hinder, and you redo the point. It's similar to racquetball and squash, where there's not many sports where you're both kind of in the same, on the same side, basically. So that's the hinder rule has changed over the years. And, if you have a shot you totally are going to make, it's, 98% you're going to hit it. And some guy just stands behind you and screws up your backswing a little bit. You kind of want to fight through it because you still think you're going to get it, but then you miss it, but you can't call it afterwards because you missed it.
Yeah, because you.
So that's the whole thing. Sometimes you're oh, I got to call it, and then the person aces you on the next play.
Right.
Well, shit, I should have played it. So that's a thing too.
I see. And you can't. Is there any sort of ejections? You can't get a red card. What would be an equivalent? Something that.
We've over the years we didn't have really too many sportsmanship rules in place, and we didn't have to, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But then people would start kicking a net after they miss, and breaking the equipment. It's not too expensive, but that just isn't a good look. We definitely have yellow and red cards or equivalents of those. So
what happens with the red card? If there's only 2, you get a red card, you lose, or you play alone? That would be awesome.
I don't think anybody's been disqualified from a tournament, to my knowledge.
The whole sport sounds like it would be perfect for like the remake of dodgeball. This sport sounds like it would blow up if it had some sort of theme behind it, like some sort of movie-esque type thing like that. Have you guys ever thought of doing anything like around that marketing type of stuff?
I think that'd be super interesting. I wonder, because we don't do traditional marketing, and I like that is a way to like really kind of circumvent that. You're like, oh wow, they're making, because I know like there's probably a bunch of people making pickleball movies right now, because pickleball is so hot right now. So yeah, I would assume that would be pretty cool. I've gotten requests to send spikeball sets to production teams so that they could have it like in the background in their college scene, and things like that. But I totally see that, and we actually just did we do our ESPN2 broadcasts, and we try and create a little bit more of a storyline instead of just show live matches.
Would every major sport, and I can't imagine that hockey didn't go through something like this. They all went through in their formative years. There was we got the ABA, you got the NBA, you got the NFL, whatever else they had, and soccer, you got NASL, and there was always this. Is there a competitor, I should say, for who's going to be this? Or could there be like a great schism later down the road where like they split off and then they have to eventually come back together?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think there's there's other people that make roundnet equipment. There's probably 50 other companies now. Most of them are knockoffs, and we're really the only company that actually puts anything back into the sport and the community and everything like that. So in terms of Spikeball, the company running the events, we don't have, a big competitor there. Like Slammo is another, crappy version, and it's one of the more popular ones, but like they've never ran a tournament or anything like that. And then, throughout the tournaments that we've run, we'll have people host tournaments, and then they host their own tournaments. And so, but we kind of help support them. So we're kind of on the same team. We don't necessarily compete against each other, but there's an equipment manufacturer who used to run a bunch of tournaments in Canada, and he's is a big part of our community. He's a great guy. He decided to start his own equipment because he felt the equipment could be improved and you could get more rallies and sport could be more exciting. So he's got this different equipment with different balls and different rules, and he kind of runs his own tournament thing. It's small and it's in Canada, but it's the sport's basically the same, but there's just a couple little tweaks. And so you are trying to start to figure that. And then our tournament series, you would kind of akin it to the AVP, right? Like we're not, we can run, like the AVP has certain rules in their volleyball that aren't the same rules for international or Olympic competition, because they want to make it a little more exciting. Just like the NBA has different rules than, when they go and play the Olympics. So there's a little, a couple things like that. So it's kind of interesting.
So Spikeball appeared on Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here, as of 2019, Forbes reports that the company brings in $19 million per year. And the article then just kind of went on to talk about the fact that he had no idea that it would be what it is and all that. But those are crazy numbers for a sport for what most people, because we obviously have a perception, in our, or we gauge everything off of the NFL, right? All NFL teams are worth billions of dollars, and therefore what is this? But when you think about it, I mean, to breach even getting the slightest bit of legitimacy in a sport is an otherworldly accomplishment in this day and age, with the amount of things that people can do, with the amount of things that are out there, with the amount of sports and the amount of things that people are trying to create. So, I mean, with that trajectory, I'm also curious, what was his hope? What was he going there to say? Listen, if we can get one of you guys, boom, we can get this X, Y, and Z. Or the Mavs are already playing with it. Hey, Mark. Let's go.
So I think, from the get-go, when Chris started the company, well, first of all, Spikeball was invented in 89, and it went out of business after about a year, and he had played it kind of as a kid, and, everybody kept asking him and his buddies on some Hawaii trip, what is this game? Where can I buy it? or how do you play it and where can I buy it? They can answer the first two, but couldn't answer the where can I buy it because it didn't exist. So they put together some money and started restarted the company in 2007. But when that happened, he was just, all right, I'm going to sell this product and people are going to have fun with it. And that's kind of all he, was thinking about, is starting a new entrepreneurial business. And I think he did it for about 5 years and hit $1 million in revenue with no employees. And that's when he said, all right, I think this is a real thing. And throughout that process, like, people just started running tournaments, like, unbeknownst to him. And at no point did he have a plan for a competitive scene. I think he hosted a tournament maybe once, but it was more just like promoting his game on the beach. Like, what else do you do? But then just, all right, let's just play each other. So yeah, just the community has sparked the whole tournament scene. And then we kind of latched on and just, kept listening to the community and want to stay involved and hear, how we can make it better and how we can help support and make this sport grow. And, if, Spikeball wasn't doing it, then, somebody might do it, but we have the means to do that. And we're really excited about it. And I mean, I think the coolest thing that I think Spikeball, Chris, and the employees get is seeing what comes out of the community. Like, these tournaments are awesome, but, they started a league night, and this league night, these two people met because they got scrambled around on net, and this person just, got engaged to this person because they met on the Spikeball, net for the first time. And so we've seen tons of things like that, throughout the community. Yeah. And I think that's, what kind of keeps Chris going, and all of us going, is just those awesome community moments, that we're seeing, day in and day out.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, obviously it's got that social aspect. I mean, if it's being played by college kids too, I mean, it's going to be something that, they're going to remember, bond over, et cetera, et cetera. How many roundnet players are there? Like, if we could guess, right? Well, what's the number?
I think there's, millions and millions of people play in their backyard. And, at school, like, the main parts of my job is to get it into physical education. I went to school to be a PE teacher. And that's literally how I got my job was, hey, Chris, kids have to play sports in PE. Why not get them to play this one? It seems like easy marketing. So that's kind of what it comes down to, is just getting it in the hands of people, right in the beginning.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I was just curious. I mean, obviously tracking the growth of the sport and all the people who are coming through there is just, it's going to be interesting to see, as, just had another podcast with a guy named David Hoffman, who's traveled to, he will just after a few months will have traveled to 100 countries. And we're talking about all the different events and things that are going on and stuff like that. But seeing, as I've played all over the world and seeing, there's a different feel outside of stadiums. I remember I played with a guy named Jimmy Conrad who played in the World Cup and for the U.S. national team a whole lot. And I was at a game, an MLS game, and he was, now that he doesn't play anymore, he was pretty much like an MC outside. And they had all these tons of different types of games. And I'd be shocked if Spikeball didn't fit in at a bunch of MLS games outside where people would play, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's been part of my job, is to get Spikeball at those big events, at music festivals, at street fairs, at anything you can imagine, because it enhances the experience of those players. So if I can work with that venue or whatever, it's like, hey, these people are going to have more fun, they're going to enjoy it, and they're going to come back next year. And so always try and fit Spikeball into that, and it's so portable and easy that they can do it anywhere. And
that's cool. Then for the people who are going to see this and that want to try, where do we send them? So where do I tell everyone now, all right, that sounds cool, let me check this out? Where do you guys have people go?
Yeah, I think, you got to go to spikeball.com and get a Spikeball set. That's if you don't have one in your garage, or just it's something that you need to have, like, in your car. It's just something that you need to have if you like sports. But a cool thing that we've developed over the years, and something that I wish I always had, is we have a Spikeball app. So if you don't have a Spikeball set, or you're in a town or a city, you can find players near you, and people host pickup games and leagues and tournaments, and there's a whole map, and you RSVP to this pickup game, and because these people are playing at this park at this time, then you can go. And it's amazing how open the community is to all these new players and new people. It's just something like if I had a pickup soccer app like that, like it would be insane,
right?
Or for any sport. So it's pretty cool that we have that. And I travel a lot for work, and if I'm going to be in Florida next week in a couple towns I've never been to, I'm just going to be there by myself. And if I want to go play sports, I'm going to find some local people on the SPIKEBALL app. And so that's where it is. And you can find any like local leagues or tournaments there. And I think also just the best place to just get some content is SPIKEBALL on YouTube. Watching some videos, watching some top plays, just makes you want to go lay out and and just dive and have fun.
Yeah, because I mean that's literally what I've noticed. That like watching it, it's like I want to try. I've never tried. Obviously,
we're gonna have to send you a set. Obviously,
I'm so down. I'm so down because it actually be really cool just to see. And I have this theory, which is basically proven. I don't consider it a theory anymore, but because I've been playing in Europe for a long time, over a decade now, and European guys that are good at soccer. The thing is that they can't use their hands at all. They suck with their hands. I make fun of them on purpose because when they're good at soccer and they're young, they just stop with their hands, right? It's not like in America, we have baseball, basketball, football, you got hand sports just drilled into you as a kid, and soccer is the one that, even though people play, they leave that one behind. So I grew up playing basketball, right? I would play baseball and football. So my hands are great. My hand-eye coordination is great. And these guys suck. So I have a feeling that if we can get a spike ball, if I can get one with my team, I'll be the dominant alpha superstar. And I'll just go grab another American guy. I had another American guy on my team and we'll just destroy them. So
you're 100% correct. I don't think that's a theory at all. And I agree 100%.
Okay. All right, good. So anyway, all right. So we'll link to all of this stuff. Obviously on the side, we'll link to some more of it. Obviously, if you're watching this, you guys have seen some of the stuff. So you're probably interested, but awesome. Skyler, I appreciate it. Definitely gonna have to check this out. And then when I'm back in the US, we'll link up sometime and I'll have to play, Yeah,
definitely. No, would love to make that happen. And, it'd be fun to kick the ball around a little bit too.
Yeah. All right, man. All right. Well, guys, check all that stuff out and we'll see you later.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.